folks, I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining me today. It is Saturday, November 7th, 2024. There in South Carolina, it's been a bit cold. It's supposed to warm up later this week, and then Monday you're going to have a lot of rain or some rain coming in. Early this morning at 5:24 a.m., there was a magnitude 2.1 earthquake near Charleston, South Carolina. This one USGS is saying is a magnitude 2.1. There was another one just 3 days ago, a magnitude 1.6. That was on the 3rd of this month. That earthquake was very shallow. And then this one here was also shallow, but it was a little bit deeper, 2 kilometers in depth, which I think has been revised. They're saying it's 3.9 miles in depth, where the 1.6 was 3.7 miles in depth. According to USGS, no one felt this earthquake, but yet the 1.6, 4 people said they felt it. I think it might be too early. That's why they haven't got any felt reports. This area is thick with sediment, so a lot of people should have felt it being a little bit stronger. Maybe, they were briefly woken up when it occurred, and being Saturday, maybe they have forgotten about it or haven't reported it. Both these earthquakes are what's considered interplate earthquakes, and they're along the Woodstock Fault Zone. Geology for earthquakes, things like that, earth science is about 50 years behind compared to other sciences. And it's a mystery to many of the seismologists why interplate earthquakes occur far from plate boundaries. They do know that seismicity represents a response to interplate stresses, but the reason why certain interplate regions appear to be more seismically active than the others are still being debated. Different suggestions include localized weakening of the lithosphere and concentration of local stress due to geological features, process such as dense intrusion or deglacification, the glaciers, the rebounding after those glaciers melted. These earthquakes too can be a response to other earthquakes that have occurred in the past. They often think that maybe they're aftershocks. An example, 1868, there was a magnitude 6.9. It could have been as large as a 7.3. The Woodstock Fault is a horizontal fault zone. It runs between Jedburgh and Ranstow, and is estimated to be between 5.5 to 8 miles deep. The Woodstock Fault, along with the Ashley River Fault, is what they believe caused the 1886 earthquake. That earthquake is believed to have been the most damaging earthquake in history of the eastern United States. South Carolina has experienced an increase in earthquakes lately due to the reactivation of ancient geological structures rather than tectonic plate boundaries. There's no tectonic plate boundaries within this area. South Carolina is considered to have a moderate to high risk for earthquakes. Most earthquakes in South Carolina occur along the coastal plain and are clustered around 3 areas: the Ravenel, Adams, Run, Hollywood, and Middleton Place, Summerville, and Bowman. The most significant historical earthquakes in South Carolina were the 1886 Charleston Summerville earthquake and the 1913 Union County earthquake. That one is right up here between these 2 recent earthquakes. It was a magnitude 6.6, or so what they estimated. In recent decades, damaging earthquakes have occurred every decade or 2. The most recently was in 2014. That was a magnitude 4.1. It occurred northeast of Parksville, South Carolina. It was given an intensity level of 5, which means it was felt by most people. There would have been some breakage of dishes, windows, and plaster. tall objects fell over. That earthquake was felt over a very wide area. Here's all the felt reports that were sent into USGS. It looks like the farthest report was Hardyville. The area of Washington, it says here, was intensity level 5. One report there. And then Lincolnton. Yeah, they had an intensity level of 6. Which means there was damage to falling plaster off their walls. Chimneys might have collapsed, things like that. That earthquake was close to another area, close to the same location where in 1916 they had a 5.1. So let's bring this back out and go down back to Charleston. The 1886 earthquake there in Charleston occurred at 9:50 p.m. local time on August 31st. It caused chandeliers to swing in Detroit, Michigan, and Cuba, and was felt over much of the eastern United States. The earthquake predates the instrumental era. They didn't have any machines, seismologists, data, things like that to record the earthquake. But an intensity base magnitude of a 6.6 to a 7.3 has been estimated. Another interesting fact about this area, it is associated with a basin that formed during the Mesozoic rifting event. You catch that rifting event that led to the breakup of Pangea. This is a possible sub-basin, they say, and a potentially weakened lithosphere where the failed rift basin influenced interplate seismicity within the Charleston seismic zone. They did airborne magnetic data to collect information about the region, and after doing that, they found out that there is hundreds of meters of sediment that is hiding this ancient rift, including faults, folds, dikes, which is dike intrusion from volcanic eruptions. The Mesozoic rifting area is favorably orientated for a reverse slip in the modern stress region of this day and age. Reverse slip, which is a thrust earthquake. Thrust earthquakes are the worst that you could possibly have. They think this ancient buried rift is what's causing the interplate earthquakes. I keep repeating, people, about how the Earth's magnetic field, as it weakens and weakens, we are seeing an increase in earthquakes. During the last magnetic pole reversal, the continents actually moved. Hard to believe that we got a ancient rift system going through here. It actually extends all the way down to Georgia. So you could have another very large earthquake, 2 within 3 days. That's quite unusual. I hope people are prepared. The monitor that I am using is from the University there of Charleston to download the data. Here is the image of that earthquake, the 2.1. I actually come up with a 2.25. So not much different than what they have. But look at the heat that came up, and look how deep this is. Remember, this fault is about 5.5 to 8 miles deep. So, There are other earthquakes that are not being reported. We have one here that was yesterday at 22:19. And then there was another one shortly afterwards. The second one comes in as a magnitude 1.52. More than likely, no one felt that one. And then the first one, that was a slow-moving tremor. So giving it a guess here, that one would have been a 1.41. More likely, no one felt it also. More recently, I see we got another one. Let me pull it over. Actually, 2 more small ones. We got one right there. That was at 12:34 Universal. 7:34 a.m. local time. And let me see how big this probably was. So we'll put it there, and we'll put it there. Comes in as a magnitude 1.13. And then we got this one right here, another slow-moving, long-duration earthquake. So if you've been feeling some vibrations, yeah, that's probably why. And you can see here, let me bring this over. Yeah, there was a lot of slow-moving tremors coming in. This area of the U.S. continent is slowly falling in. There's magma down there, and it's slowly dissolving into the plate boundary off the coast. Just another sign of plate movement because of the weakening of our magnetic field. And here we got some more. You can see how long it lasted. These slow moving tremors. Yeah, see that? Yep. And then down here, let's see, we'll go to the spectrogram. Spectrogram is really telling. And this is what it was showing when I pulled the files earlier today. This was at 12:56 Universal. So that would have been 7:56 a.m. There in Charleston. And then we got that. And then we got this. There's a little teeny tiny earthquake there. Yeah, right there. Looks like a tornado. Also yesterday, here's another sign of magma. Yeah, because you're so close to the... Yeah, let me go back and show you a larger image of the coast. And then, yeah, see, off over here. Yeah, there's the Helena Banks fault system. Yeah, it's all going down, subsiding. This area too is the Atlantic Ocean is slowly sinking. The Helena Banks fault tsunami threat was first discovered in 1985. It is also considered a high angle reverse fault. Yep, another thrust earthquake potential in this location. It is about 12 kilometers or 7.4 miles off the shore of Charleston. The Helena Banks fault zone is approximately 110 kilometers in length, or about 68 miles in length. The National Weather Service did a scenario back in 2011, and what they figured the result would be a possible tsunami there in the Atlantic coast off of Charleston along this fault zone. It would likely trigger a wave because it's a thrust earthquake, which means one side stays stationary and the other side rises up. And depending on how large that earthquake would be, there would be a lot of devastation. You know, when they had that 7.1 earthquake off the coast of Northern California, luckily it was just a strike slip and not a thrust earthquake. But they were telling people to evacuate a mile inland. And then there's been a lot of talk that that earthquake, in fact, might have been man-made, possibly by Russia, to send a warning to the United States government to quit sending military aid, making threats against Russia and bombing Russia. So this is another fault zone that could be triggered, man-made, if they so wished it. Man-made or not, we know that the plates are moving. We know that we're having a lot of earthquakes in many diverse places. Do you have a bug-out kit? Are you prepared for a large earthquake? And do you have supplies? Do you have an emergency plan where to meet your friends and family? Do you know who would get the children if you have children or grandchildren from school? Are you prepared for power outages, the lack of emergency services, medical care? You know, there's quite a few towns along the coast here. We got Whitehall Terrace, we got Woodville, Wandoo, it looks like. Yeah, there's quite a few along the coastline that would be inundated with a tsunami if one happened, if there was a large earthquake. They were worried that if there was a tsunami, luckily there was none from the Northern California earthquake, but they were worried about the wave going up through the Bay Area. And you got, same type of areas that a tsunami wave could travel up through. Another thing that a lot of people don't think about is the lack of sanitation. How, like in Haiti, I believe it was over 10,000 people died from cholera because of the lack of sanitation that happened after their devastating earthquake. It took a long time to get the cholera under control, about 10 years, because cholera, it's from fecal matter, and if you don't have fresh water for sanitation to wash your bodies, your food, your hand, it can be passed from one person to another. So are you prepared? I hope so. Yeah, interesting. 2 earthquakes within 3 days. Have you felt any of these earthquakes? They are small, but it is an area with very deep sediment, and earthquakes have a way of being transmitted across a very large area. People actually feel earthquakes in areas that have lots of sediment, more so than, say, if it was on bedrock. So put your comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, please share, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you all. Bye.